Hi, I'm with Tim McGovern, and he just gave a great masterclass on VFX, and we're going to find out a bit more now. Tim, you're now based in Mumbai, and you made the move from Hollywood to Mumbai. What was behind that?
Well, a couple of things. I had taken a little time off from the industry and gone. First of all, the first part of my career, I was facility-based. I was the VFX supervisor for the company who got the work.
Yeah.
Then, after building Sony and having a studio who ultimately, they don't really love you.
Yeah, right.
They just do what they want.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I just went, you know what?
Okay,
forget
yeah,
this.
that's very understandable.
So then I went independent and worked
Right.
directly for the producer and director on the movie as the visual effects supervisor.
Okay.
Then I took some time off because I wanted to pursue a different animated film, and I learned how to raise money and do the budgets and business plans and all those things. But at a certain point, they always say, "Don't quit your day job," because it takes a while. So I went back, and at that point in time, a lot of the work had been leaving LA,
Right.
and I was checking around, and I'd heard about Prime Focus doing Sin City, and I loved the original Sin City,
Okay.
and it was a pretty meaty project because everything's shot on green screen, and you have 2,300 shots to do for the movie.
Right.
So I supervised 1,500 of them, and the other 800 were done between 3 other companies. So
In India or outside?
well, one part was the Vancouver office
Okay.
of Prime Focus,
Yeah.
but they did like 1/6 of the shots
Right,
or something like that. And then the other 2 companies were Red Chilies and another. I'm trying to remember who the other one was at the time. But so I don't know, was that 5/6 of the movie was done in India?
Right, right.
And it's some of the most creative work that we got to work on. You could pitch all kinds of things, make all kinds of creative choices, and so I loved doing the movie. Unfortunately, the movie was not very successful.
Right.
It had storytelling issues,
Yeah, right.
but visually and from a
Yeah.
visual effects
Yeah.
standpoint, it was amazing.
Fantastic.
So that got me over here.
Okay, and did that establish your relationship with Prime Focus?
Yeah.
Is that what?
That's what that was, because
Yeah.
I'd actually been to India many times
Right.
since 2004.
Okay.
That was my first time, 2004. A friend of mine introduced me to Madhu Sidnan, who's a friend and visual effects supervisor over here. He invited me to Chennai, and then ultimately I got to a few other cities, and he got involved in the Visual Effects Society and got us over here for that. And so then I had an Indian girlfriend at that time who was in the U.S., and came over with family things, weddings, funerals, the whole thing. So ultimately I started working again after Sin City on things once it became DNEG with Prime Focus.
Okay.
And that's when I did Mission Impossible Rogue Nation
Right.
and Huntsman,
Cool.
and then this last batch of.
So now you're not with Prime Focus? Are you an independent?
No, I'm with
You're still
Double
with Prime
Negative,
Focus.
which
Yeah,
is the
Double
new
Negative,
branding
yeah.
of the whole.
As you explained, yes,
international.
yeah.
And I'm. This is the first time I've done a consistent year with them. Usually I
Right.
do a project or 2.
Oh, I see.
Or a 9-month contract or something. This time around, it's been a year. We're coming up for review, and we'll see what happens from here.
So you got an Oscar for Total Recall. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in Total Recall and the process? There was a lovely thing you said in the talk about make the best movie you can. Don't think about
Yeah,
award.
don't be thinking I'm going to go make a movie that's going to get me an award. No, it's true. That film was interesting. We had done a test for it with this motion capture software, and it had worked, for what we were doing, which was not the movie itself, not the action in the movie, and it seemed like it was going to be okay. And I was actually had a managerial position as well as a VFX supervisor position, and so actually there was another person who was supposed to do the film. And then he ended up getting a job with another one of our competing companies and wasn't there to do it. And I was going to hire somebody else, and ultimately I said, yeah, all right, I'll do it.
Okay.
And it wasn't like, oh my God, I can't wait to do it. It should have been,
right.
because when I read the screenplay, I went like, holy cow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But it sort of, another groundbreaking piece of work was the same thing for me. A movie, commercial called Sexy Robot, which was one of the first uses of human motion in a commercial for the Superbowl.
Yeah.
That actually was the foundation work to this.
Right.
That's how I was able to have a plan B, because plan B was plan A
Oh,
in that commercial.
Right.
And so I knew how to manage that, but yet it was more work than I could personally do, so then I had to supervise multiple people doing what I would have done in the other.
Did that really help establish your career, getting that Oscar? And
Well, that
opening-
Oscar got the attention of Sony and Columbia TriStar,
Right.
and that got me to be the senior vice
Sure.
president of creative and
Right.
technical affairs at
Right.
Sony, and be the creative
Yeah.
head of ImageWorks at that time. And I was fairly well known for the work I'd done at Robert Abel, which I'd had 5 Clio awards
Okay,
for that,
yeah,
and a
wow.
Hugo and a Mobius award,
Wow.
just from commercial
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
And then got my first screen credit on Tron
Yeah.
with Robert Abel.
Okay.
And then somebody once remarked that, isn't it funny that you're such a big gap in your
Yeah.
first 2 movie credits,
Okay.
Tron and Total Recall,
Okay.
but there aren't that many movies
Yeah.
that had anything digital in
Oh,
between
right.
there.
Yeah, right.
Not
Okay.
really. So it wasn't like you
Okay.
could have been working all that time.
And what are you working on now? What are your big projects that you're?
Well, I'm working on a Netflix film right now, which I'm not able to say the name of.
Okay, yeah.
Very famous actor with a bunch of TV actors, and a lot of shots, a lot of interesting work, and it's all due in a couple of weeks, which is why I'm not here for longer,
I see,
actually.
yeah. What is why do people use VFX specialists in India? What is it about Indians working here? What is it about the industry here that wants a lot of Western companies to come here and do their VFX?
Well, as I was mentioning in the talk, that there's incentives to get you to come to Canada, to the
yeah.
UK, to Australia, even to New Zealand. And Singapore had something for a while. George Lucas has a very special deal there. The government made him, because of course he's quite a renowned filmmaker to get attached.
Yeah.
But India's big thing is that they have a lot of people to throw at it, and the cost of long hours of labor-intensive work are less expensive here than other places.
Well, what has given you the most satisfaction in your career?
Well, I always love making shots with artists. So I like working with the crew.
I see.
I enjoy when they come to show me their shot. I enjoy talking to them about what's going to make it better, what's wrong, what's great, and how we're going to solve this. And so that's just fun to me.
So not everyone on your side of the production enjoys that.
Well, I don't know. I don't mean to sound like I'm the exception to that rule, but
No,
I get a lot of joy from
Yeah.
it. I really like working with the team. I really like working with having the review of all the departments. The effects guys, the animation guys, the layout guys, the compositing guys, the roto prep guys. All that stuff is interesting because you need to solve those things first before you get to the final. And when you're looking at the final and one of those things isn't right, you're going, oh, wait a minute, how do we miss this? How come the camera track is slipping? How come the whatever? And so it's fun to solve problems, and it's especially fun when there's a lot of three-dimensional aspects to the shot. Sometimes it's mostly all plate was shot, the background was shot with the same lens, just put it in there and make it look real. And then there's, where should the camera be? Why are we not seeing enough of the action? Maybe we could have changed this element so that it's more seen, more visible, tells the story better, all those things, and that's a lot of fun. We actually have several shots in this film that I'm working on currently where we're trying to tell a particular part of the story, and it's not being communicated without new shots that are totally made up from scratch. And so we're making something that the editor will then cut, tell us what part of it he wants to use, and then we'll perfect that part. So this happens, but it's not always a part of the job.
So a lot of people in Britain will be quite surprised that Dunkirk, which did very well in the UK and Europe and stuff, that Indian VFX specialists worked on it.
I think London knows better
Yeah.
about some of the work that's being done outside of there, because all the big companies have something going on here. And the companies that don't have something going on here have a relationship with the company doing work here.
Yeah.
So the fact that I would say MPC and Double Negative do significant parts of their work here, not just the repetitive, labor-intensive work, but also some of the creative work. The creative leads are generally, for these companies, coming out of a Western city like London, LA, well, not LA so much right now with these companies, but London, Montreal, Vancouver. They typically become what we call the client-facing supervisor.
Right.
They have the relationship.
So
with.
we heard your fiance stand up and say Indians are not getting the credit they deserve. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's true that even when I was at Sony, we were having to have conversations with people who did significant work in the film, but there were not enough slots allotted for the work done from our company or from our unit. And so it's always been a problem. The credits go on and on and on. Until visual effects came, people thought movie credits were pretty long already. And now with all the work that is so labor intensive, the number of names is like probably double or triple what it used to be on credits. And they have to make the crawl run that long. It keeps people in the theaters. Well, they don't stay in the seats all the time, but it makes the movie run that long.
Yeah.
It affects running time.
Yeah.
And so there's all these other aspects to it. And so there's some cold-hearted accountant types that have a job to do.
And what's left for you to do? What do you have an ambition still unfulfilled?
Well, that's the thing that I was saying that Reuven asked. I have this film that I've written from scratch, and it's unlike anything else, which, you know, I still have to get the opportunity. I have to make sure that somebody else believes that same thing and then put the money behind it. But it's a large budget animated feature, and it's something that I have seen in my mind, have written it so well in terms of the description of it, that I actually have to write a shorter version of it now for the studio. Because I explain it all. I explain the action, I explain the animation that happens between
and it already has backing, so you will be...
No, that's the next stage,
I
once
see.
I have a studio-ready screenplay. And it has to be a fast, fun read. It cannot be the Bible.
Sure.
You know.
Tim, that was terrific. Thank you for making time for us. Thank you. All the best. Yes, good luck.
You too.